My next bake is 2 recipes, a rich creme caramel and an eclair, both based on a flavour that's loved by millions, and everyone has their personal preference.
Coffee. Love it or hate it, everybody has their own opinion on it. But before I go ahead and choose the flavour to go inside my dessert, I need to go back to basics and find out what makes a good coffee.
I'm using coffee in both my eclairs and my creme caramel, and to give me a steer on what flavours people like best, I've come to Musselburgh in East Lothian with 3 different coffees. A properly bitter coffee. B, a robust, strong coffee. And C, a smoother, rounded coffee. For me, the bitter coffee is best, but what will the people of Musselburgh say?
Would you like to try some coffee?
I would love to try some coffee.
Would you normally drink coffee yourself? Okay. We've got 3 different types of coffee here. A, B, C. Take each one of each cup, have a little sip, tell me which one you like. Try A. What do you think of that one?
Oh, I do like that one.
You don't like A?
No.
Why?
That's quite boring. Tastes like soup.
It's horrible. It's disgusting.
Don't you like it?
Yeah.
It's got like a savoury taste to it, no?
Oh, okay.
Okay, fine. No one likes my favourites. Maybe they'll feel different once they've tried the others.
Try B. This is a Kenyan one. A bit more roundy, earthy, pungent.
It's a little bit better, eh? It's a bit stronger than the first one, I think.
That one's good.
You like that?
Nah, it's all right.
The handle B, not A.
Okay.
I like that one better.
Do you like that one? Why do you like that one?
I like strong coffee and...
Yeah. Try C.
That's just as bad as A, I would say.
Which one do you prefer?
Middle one.
You go for B.
That one.
You prefer C? Personally, you go for C?
Yeah.
You go for B every time?
B.
B.
I like beef. It's got a sort of berry aftertaste.
B had more flavour.
Why haven't you picked A or C then?
They've got a better aftertaste.
I can't take it. I threw milk and sugar.
It's all strong B and smooth C. No one likes my bitter old A.
Personally, if it was me, I went for A. So I like that sourness, I like that bitterness, I like that hit which you get. I like espresso.
Yeah, it's just rank.
Okay.
And just when I think I'm all on my own,
A.
A, you like that flavour?
That's better.
Lovely. Thank you very much indeed, young man. Okay, I've got someone that agrees with me. In Musselburgh today, B and C are coming out on top, and B's probably edging it.
so the consensus on coffee is that strong or smooth is better than bitter. But when it comes to Puds, do I need to look at things differently? You know what I need? A coffee expert.
Hello, Ralph.
Hello, Paul. Nice to meet you.
This is Brodie's, Scotland's oldest coffee merchant. They import coffee beans from all over the world and blend them into flavours we either love or hate.
I found out this morning that people are very, very opinionated on what coffee they like.
I think it's like everything. Everybody has their own personal choice of things. And what we've really done is adapted to choice and taste over the years. But now it's really the taste and the quality that people are interested in.
And when you're talking about a good coffee, that means beans.
The 2 main types are Robusta and Arabica. This is Robusta. 30% of the world's coffee, very much a cash crop, originally grown across Central Africa, without much husbandry or cultivation or irrigation.
Robusta has a stronger flavour than Arabica and is used to create the blended flavours that make our instant coffee.
Whereas the Arabica is very much a different thing altogether, cultivated with fertilisation, irrigation. This is where all your character comes from, all the subtlety comes from.
Arabica is considered to be superior to Robusta and has a delicate acidic flavour and more refined aroma. The key to producing great coffee flavour is blending beans grown around the world, and that means roasting them.
Paul, can I introduce you to Martin, who's been roasting our coffee for the last 20 years.
Aye.
Wow, what a good bit of kit this is.
Yep, big machine. This is obviously the roaster.
So, what beans are you using to start with?
Well, I've got 3 different types of beans to start with. We've got the Java, Brazilian and the Guatemalan. Our goal is to try and roast them to a process where the water's out And at the end of it, it's all level. So when you look at it, you'd think it's only one type of bean that's in it. Obviously, that's why you're roasting it, because when it's green coffee, there's no flavour at that point. So we do the roasting process, and that ends up bringing the flavour out.
Once the beans reach the ideal temperature, water is added to lock in that coffee flavour.
It's funny, actually, the fact that he's adding water to that to stop the process from carrying on burning the bean is exactly what you do when you're making a caramel. You take the caramel to the right colour that you want, take the pan off the heat, and of course, if you leave it in the pan, the sugar carries on burning. So you plunge the whole pan in cold water, and it stops the caramel from burning anymore. Exactly the same thing what they're doing in there.
After roasting, the beans now have a blended flavour and are ready to be ground down to make a delicious cup of coffee.
There we go.
Lovely smell. I think I'll have one of these in my kitchen. I might have to build an extension, though.
We all love coffee, but the flavours we like have changed over the years.
OK, then, Ralph, what have we got here?
Over on the right, we've got a coffee from the 50s or 60s. Now, it wasn't a great time for coffee. We were still drinking lots of instant coffee. I don't know if you remember coffee and chicory, but that was really a coffee of that time.
When was that?
50s, 60s, because chicory was a lot cheaper than
taking
coffee.
the mickey, Ralph? You
Not
think I'm
at
that
all.
old?
Maybe your mother has told you
You're
about
winding me up, Ralph.
OK, so next, we're moving into the 70s, and that was when things really became a little bit trendy, and we had Jamaica Blue Mountain, which was quite an acid coffee.
Yeah. Can I just also add, in the 70s, I wasn't really drinking coffee. I still wasn't old enough.
Maybe the 80s, maybe the 90s. We'll get there.
OK.
Now, 90s. Are you with us in the 90s?
Just about coming into the 90s, yeah.
You must have had a hard life, Paul.
I love you, Ralph. Just want you to know that.
Thank you. Next one we're moving on to is what happened at the end of the 90s and into the noughties, and that was very much espresso. And what we've got here is a blend of 3 different coffees. You think of things like curries, you know, how people now have much stronger curries, and it's a very similar thing with coffee. Our palates have developed, so we're looking for something different.
Coffees have increased in strength and bitterness, and those 2 qualities are what I need for my recipes. My 2 desserts will need 2 distinct coffees.
One thing I do know about baking, the way to impart a coffee flavour into whatever you're going to do, the best way is espresso form.
We've got our Colombian here, our straight Colombian. We've got our Java, and we've got our blend of Brazil, Guatemalan, and Java.
There is something at the end. It is sitting on the tongue more. So this next one is the Java.
Yeah.
Huge kick. As soon as you put it in, bang, it just hits you. Finally, this is the blend. Smooth. That's what it's just sort of stays like that throughout all of it. Here, I think the Java would go really well with the caramel. That little bit of hint at the end to go with the sweetness coming from the caramel sauce. The blend would go really well with the eclairs. I've added salted caramel to the eclairs. The addition of that coffee would balance well with that salt. I'm blending textures as well as flavours in these 2 puds, and I think I've chosen wisely. Thank you very much indeed. Morning. I'm delighted that Ralph has joined me and has brought some of his coffee for me to use in my salted caramel eclairs and my creme caramel. What we've chosen, actually, we chose the Java to go in the creme caramel. And that was, again, the one with that little bit of edginess to it as well. And then we've got the blend, haven't we? The blend was going to go inside the filling for the salted caramel eclairs.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how they come out with the recipes.
What I'm going to do is start with my eclairs. Now, in a pan here, I've got my water and butter. Now, what I'm going to do is add my flour straight in there, and the sugar. Now, this is basically just the thickening. Basically, cook out the flour that's inside that roux. Keep it moving. The last thing you want to do is leave this sitting on the bottom and burn out, and it gets smoother and smoother as you do it. This is the basis for any good choux bun. Now, I'm happy with that. You can see the shine on the top of the choux pastry as well. And I'm happy now to add the eggs to that and beat the living daylights out of it. Break it down, it becomes a soft, glossy mix.
Add beaten eggs and stir vigorously until it forms a roux.
I'm getting absolutely covered here in egg. Have you ever made choux pastry before, Ralph?
No, I haven't actually, Paul. I'm not really so good at cooking. I'm rather better at eating.
I'm a bit like that myself, to be honest, Ralph. When I was doing this 17 years ago, we used to put this into big mixers and use a whisk, and there'd be steam pouring off it, because you can see the roux beginning to cool off as it gets beaten. Now, if you look at that now, you can see that the pastry beginning to get nice and smooth. You carry on doing that, it becomes really elastic. Once you've got it to that stage, you pop it into a piping bag, and this has just gone off cool now. It's warm, but it's perfect for piping. So the size you want to do your eclairs, and basically just pipe. What you do is you bake this off now. This will balloon up and begin to crisp up and get a strong colour. Now, what I tend to do as well is, because it's full of steam, you puncture it, get a little knife, make a little hole in it that allows the steam to come out, put it back in the oven, and that will dry them out. If you don't do that, it gets very soft and soggy inside. Your eclairs should be nice and crisp on the outside and beautiful with a little bit of chew on the inside. So I'm going to pop them straight in. 15 minutes is ample. Now to the filling. In the fridge, I have some whipped cream with a little bit of icing sugar in there as well, to which you're going to add your coffee, Ralph. Straight in there. Beautiful. Basically, what you've got here is a coffee cream, and it's going to taste delicious. Look at the colour of that.
I just hope it does the job for you with those flavours and characteristics that we picked out when we tasted it.
Oh, yes. It's got that sharpness to it as well, which I like. Now, I'm going to put some of this in a piping bag, get this straight inside the eclairs. I'm just going to cut the end of it. That'll do. Take it all the way down to the bottom. I should be ready. Get your eclairs and literally just pipe a load of the filling in. There's one. Put a load of the stuff in there. Look at that, Ralph. Does that look good to you?
That does look fantastic.
So far, so good. Do you want me to pipe some in?
Absolutely.
You ready? There you go. Is that good?
I think you've used the wrong coffee, Paul.
The icing itself, I've got in here light brown sugar, butter, and a little bit of salt. Now, that's melted, into which I'm going to add some milk. Now, the milk's going to go straight in.
Add the milk and bring to the boil. Add the icing sugar until it creates a thick caramel.
If you find it's getting too thick, pop it back on the heat and just slacken down that butter and milk, and that will loosen it off again. You can see now that's thickened up beautifully and it holds on the spoon. Grab one of the eclairs and you just want to put a line across the top, like so. This is going to taste so good. There's one. I hope you like this, Ralph.
I think I'm just about ready for this, Paul. And the texture you're looking for at the end, is it going to be shiny or?
It will be shiny as it sets. As it sets, it'll get really shiny. But also, we chose another coffee, which was the Java. Now, what I have done is a creme caramel, and I've used the Java. I've concentrated on the eclairs today, but they, and I had one earlier on, will taste fantastic. There we have our beautiful salted caramel coffee eclairs, and in here we have our creme caramel, which we use that beautiful Java coffee as well.
However you like your coffee, there's something for everyone in my salted caramel and coffee eclairs and these delicious creme caramels. Earlier, my guests, the marshmallowists, showed me how they create their vibrant flavours